What is up, everybody? Saturday morning, that means Hobby Hotline, episode 301 today. I am joined by Logan Victor. So I am the third wheel just tagging along for the ride. Good morning, guys. What's going on?
Morning, sir.
Saturday morning, man. It's a great day.
If you're on the East Coast, it's 11 a.m. or shortly thereafter, because Logan reminded me to start the show today, which I appreciate. And if you're on a different time zone, well, then you know that, and I'm not going to translate the time for you. We got some mornings. Good morning. Happy Preakness Saturday to those who celebrate. See, Logan, right off the bat.
Perfect.
You know what?
All right. You're going to have to school me a little bit.
Mystic
Okay,
Dan.
so those are the horses' names and the odds for them to win.
Okay.
Now, the one horse was scratched because it had a fever, so it says scratched.
Is it a micro scratch?
No, that's a PSA slab, and we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Mad City Brew, good morning. Vintage Goats, good morning. Ruben, it's an all specs crew. Yes, three guys who can't see without glasses.
Yes.
That is 100% true.
Where am I?
And if you notice, not one of us even fault that accusation. I cannot see at all without them.
Facts.
Philly Joe, good morning. I know people always ask me, what about contacts and this? I said, they're in all the time. They're not going anywhere. They're my eyes, and they're special. So what have you guys? We got a big hobby week. Logan, you've already kind of nudged me in one direction, so we might as well start there. PSA made a big announcement that they are changing their slabs, the new Meteor version. And they are going to be medical grade plastic. And Victor, this is important to know. Logan mentioned the fact that if you're actually having surgery, you can now use these to do the surgery because it's medical grade plastic. And there will be no more baggies, which eliminates the rings and colors, and they are supposed to now be more heat, water, and UV resistant. I don't think they've given an exact diving depth or anything like that, but they're supposed to be more resistant.
Yeah.
I think Hall of Famer. Initial thoughts.
Well, I think what I was going to do is once I get my new slabs in the new cases, I'm going to go do a reveal in the shower and see how how water resistant they really are. No, they say this is 3 years in the making. From what I understand, the slabs are pretty much look the same. And from, Danny, you and I talking earlier, the medical grade plastic, we think that's part of, where the 20% increase in the weight comes from. They say that when you pick it up, you can feel it and it feels, it just feels, much better as far as, the feel goes. So the thing I like the best though, and I think a lot of people, is the no baggies, getting rid of the baggies. I had heard, and I do not know if this is true or not, but I had heard that they were going to do some kind of printing, doing the 3D printing and making custom, holder, custom, pieces inside the holder to hold the cards. Like I said, I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard that.
Oh, so you mean to the size of the card, Logan?
Yeah, do one for each one. I don't know if that's true or not. It seems to me like that would be very time consuming, but I've heard that. Now, like I said, that's just a rumor. I don't know if that's true or not.
Victor, your thoughts? I love the comment here that now that it's 20% heavier, we'll have to hit the gym harder. Your thoughts on PSA? Saying time to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. When I first read the heading of the email, I was kind of taken back because in my head I'm thinking, don't tell me they changed the label. And to Mad City Brews kind of thing here is, see, it's like one some folks would think that's okay, others I would say, oh no, please don't mess with the label. And when I first read that heading, I kind of panicked, but they didn't do much with the label. I was grateful for that. But I had some questions, obviously, and on the medical grade thing, the new plastic, heavier, sturdier, all of that, I like it. My question is, is it going to be more clear? Is it going to like combat the CSG slab in its clarity, right? So that's my first question. My next question means our price is going to go up. Who's going to absorb the cost of this new fancy dancy slab? I unfortunately I think it's going to be us, and so that's unfortunate. Uh, is CGC going to follow suit? Are they going to do something similar to kind of mix things up a bit? And those are kind of my takeaways on this. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I like the technology. I think it's a good thing. But at what cost? At what cost is it going to absorb the collector?
Well, Victor, you touched on one of the points I've had, which is actually the reverse, but making the same point. I think PSA made some of these changes in reaction to what some of the other card companies have done. What Tag did with their plastic, or CGC with their plastic. I mean, we talk about this being thicker and heavier. Maybe they couldn't go clearer. They couldn't win on clearer, but they could win on thicker and more protective. And outside of going to the Beckett brick, this might have been a way for them to try to gain a competitive advantage, because it is hard to get plastic any clearer without changing dimensions.
Yeah,
I mean, after a while, and Logan and I were talking about this. Outside of not changing the label, the only thing they couldn't do was change the dimensions of the slab.
right.
No,
That would be disastrous.
Yeah, they still have to be able to stack and do all the same things that all the other slabs do. They have to match. That would throw collectors into a tizzy, and I would be one of them. I would not like a different size slab because I'm all in on PSA. I've got very few, anybody else BGS or CGC or anybody slabs. I've got all, 99.9999% is PSA. So yeah, that would be a killer. But I'm thinking maybe with this medical grade plastic that maybe it will be clearer, that because they didn't mention that. Ryan Hogue did not mention that when he did his video, and I thought for sure he would say something about that. So I don't know if that implies that it's the same or they just forgot. I don't know.
I do appreciate, to me it seems anyways, that they are listening to the consumer, right? A lot of these things are things that we have been requesting for quite some time, and it seems like they really took the step on the HR side of things to really listen to the consumer and give the consumer what they want. So in that aspect, A+.
And I'm going to put it in the chat right now. I'm just putting best looking slab ? Because they did not change the look essentially, except for the baggie, which is significant. I think they tried very hard to keep that PSA look. And so I'm just curious from an aesthetic only point of view, did they need to do anything else, or does everybody like the PSA look already and they had to do everything they could to not change that come heck or high water? That they had to leave it the way it was. White Sox Tom says Tag. A lot of people loves the Tag slab. They don't pay the prices for Tag, but they like the slab. Logan, if you weren't a PSA Hall of Famer and you did not have 99.95% PSA, is there somebody else's slab that you like the look of? And I think a couple people may have just hit your answer here. But
well, I know there's a lot of love for SGC right now, but I'm not a fan of the tuxedo, so that I'm going to rule that one out. As far as clarity is concerned, if I'm looking for a clearer type slab, probably CGC would be one that I might like. But I'm
not making you leave, buddy. I'm not making you switch. Don't worry.
No, I know you're not. But I was born and raised on PSA, so I kind of have followed that path. And like I said, I'm all in on PSA. But I like Beckett slabs too. Beckett slabs are pretty, they're pretty stout. They're thick. I mean, I got a card the other day that I'm going to crack out, and the thickness and everything and how sturdy that thing is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I've always heard they were some of the hardest to crack just because of that.
Yeah, they are. But the one I got, and we can maybe show it later if we show any cards or anything. I'll show the card that I picked up. But yeah, going to crack this thing out is going to be a bear.
You got it with you?
And, oh yeah, I got it with me right here.
Yeah.
I'll show it. I'll go ahead and show it right now.
Show it right now.
And it's not even a racing card, believe it or not. This
Victor
is
and I are both caught off guard.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's shocked. But yeah,
it's okay. It's not motorized racing.
Yeah, it's still racing. It's human powered racing. It's Lance Armstrong. This is a 2008 History of Nike card. These cards are really hard to find, and I've literally been looking for this card for probably 10 years.
Wow.
And this popped up, but it's a great set. It's got Michael Jordan in there. It's got Lance Armstrong. It's got Tiger Woods, Bo Jackson's in there, Mike Schmidt. There's a lot of people in this set, but it's a very tough set. I think that they only made like 150 sets from what we understand, and they were just handed out, at Nike. So, the chances of them getting into collectors' hands, are tough because people are going to take those things and just throw them in the drawer or whatever, or throw them away. They just didn't care. So to try to find one of these is hard, but you can see how thick the slab is, and it overlaps. So yeah, cracking this thing is going to be exciting.
That's a concern too with this new PSA holder, being it's 20% heavier. Yep. Is it going to be 20% more difficult to crack? And I guess, right? We will see.
We were thinking that. Mad City Brew says, wait, Logan, to you, you like the Beckett slabs, but you're cracking it out. Will you explain, when I keep calling you PSA Hall of Famer, will you actually explain what that means in the registry for people?
Well, I'm going to probably take some pliers and crack it right here, pull it apart, take the card out, put it in like a Card Saver 4, and send it to PSA. The reason I'm doing this is I have a Lance Armstrong set on the PSA registry, and this is the only card that I don't have. And now
this will close another one for you.
This will make another 100% complete set. Like I said, I've been looking for this card for probably 10 years.
Unreal.
It's that tough.
I'm looking for my PSA registry pin, but I can't find it right now.
I don't even get a pin. I think I get an email. So we have a Hall of Famer. We have Victor, who's well above me and closer to Logan. And then I get an email somewhere a month behind. I have one set completed on PSA registry. It is a 5-card set or a 4-card set. So I'd like to brag about that. So I see you, Logan, and I raise you my Greg Maddux Playing Days rookie card set.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll raise you my Mario and Andretti set.
He's going to go on eBay, and by the end of the show, he's going to pass me. All right. So those are the PSA slabs. Any other thoughts on the PSA slabs before we move on?
I got a notification in the email yesterday that my submission has been shipped. So looking forward to getting them in hand.
Now, do we know when they're actually switching to the new slabs, or they've already started?
I believe they have already started.
They said immediately they're going to be doing it.
Well, I'd be very, very interested. Victor, if you get them back, if they're the new slabs, what your thoughts are?
Okay.
Especially on the weight. Tell me if we got to hit the gym, before the national, or the registry can be a bit addicting. I think we would all second that and plead guilty, maybe.
But also very satisfying, as far as
very
satisfying in your collecting, right?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's definitely my drug of choice for sure.
Yeah, you work so hard and so long on a set registry. When you finally complete it, to me, there's no better satisfaction in the hobby, personally.
Logan, how many years were you chasing that card?
About 10 years.
There you go. I mean, it's
in my safe searches. I search for it literally every day. That's how I found it finally.
Amazing.
This is probably the best idea. Maybe we should start a support group. Yeah, without a doubt, we could use one. Absolutely. Yeah, but you
I
know
could.
what? Of all our choices, these are our healthier ones.
Indeed.
There's no way I could go cold turkey.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Moving on to want to stick with the PSA slabs, sort of. And there's a national retailer that is entering the trading card market or the trading card acquisition market to a certain degree, and that's GameStop. Um, they are accepting trade-ins, and they're actually buying PSA slabs. Logan, I know you've followed this a little closer than I have. What are the details with this?
Well, stand they're only accepting PSA slabs first, and then from that they're only accepting PSA 8s, 9s, and 10s. And I think the card value has to be $500 or less that they're authorized to purchase. Apparently, they've got some kind of cheat sheet or some kind of formula that they're using to say, okay, when I bring in my Bo Jackson 1989 Bo Jackson card, that they know what the price is if it's an 8, 9, or 10, and they're going to pay a certain percentage to you or give you store credit or whatever they're going to do. And it's not available nationwide yet. It's going to only be available in Connecticut, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi, New York, Tennessee, and Texas. So I could do it here if I wanted to in Tennessee.
Now the question is what are they paying? Like you said, they haven't put out an exact spreadsheet or anything like that. My understanding is this is all going to be PSA provided data, and so the store employee will have no say in the matter. They're going to scan the back of the slab, and that will provide them with a price on the screen. And I assume it's PSA data, card ladder data, something from collectible, and or collectors. I'm sorry, and that'll tell them what they're paying or trade-in value. There's not a negotiation. This is not going to be like a card store. But the point is there a generation of teenagers, young adults that have more access to GameStops and junk slabs laying around that might be interested in this than the traditional collector who probably doesn't want 50 cents on the dollar or 30 cents on the dollar or whatever they're paying ultimately. Victor, what are your thoughts on just a national retailer kind of getting into the hobby at all?
Yeah, another leg for fanatics to get in there, perhaps long term. I was a little shocked when I heard about this. I did not even think GameStops were even still open. I haven't seen one in quite some time near me. I do remember taking my son in there in the late 90s, early 2000s to trade games, and they would not offer very much. I mean, we're talking fraction of a cost, but at least he would get something. If something was better than nothing, so he would trade his stuff in for store credit. But yeah, I was a little shocked that they were still open. I'm wondering, what's the distribution of these stores nationwide, and what options do collectors have for if they don't have a GameStop near them? Is there going to be a through the mail online business model that collectors can perhaps utilize? But I don't know if this is for sports cards or mainly TCG. I don't know.
My understanding was, and I saw Philly Joe's comment, is that it's going to be both. That right now they carry TCG actual packs in their stores, and they carry Funkos. Not. I mean, I'm talking about like one shelf with like a box open with some packs or something. But they do have that. They've had that in the stores for a little while. And
Right.
Logan, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is this is applying to sports cards very much.
Yes, yeah, they're going to be doing
Okay.
sports cards and TCG cards. Like I said, they're only going to be PSA. My question is, what are they going to be paying? And Danny, I have to agree with you. I think this is more geared towards the younger type collector flipper, because I don't see anybody like myself going to GameStop and selling cards.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you guys. I don't see you guys going to do that either.
But Victor, you mentioned that when your kids were younger, you would go there to trade in games.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
could I see my boys going there and trading in slabs they don't care about for the new, FIFA?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I could, because, it's not like they're selling it on eBay, directly themselves. A
Yeah.
lot of these kids, it's just stuff laying around the room. And the amount of slabs that are out there right now, I think, are being very underestimated. I think it's truly kind of a junk slab era right now. So I think there's a lot of cards that are going to fit in that under $500 PSA 8, 9, 10 range that people will be happy to get a couple bucks out of.
Sure. I think it's a great business move for GameStop, maybe perhaps throwing some bait out there to see if Fanatics can join and give them allocation, or give them a buyout, or give them a partnership. It could be big picture. That could be what's going on.
It's a great thought.
Now, another question that I have too is, okay, GameStop buys these slabs. Do they resell them in the store, or are they shipped back to the GameStop mothership where they list them on their website? Because I looked at their website last night and they do have some PSA slab cards for sale. So I don't know how that part is going to work.
Now you're getting into the tinfoil hat brigade there, Logan. Rumor
if they're already up on the site, now I'm curious.
Rumor on the hobby streets that it's going to the repackers.
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is what Victor and I were talking about. GameStop gives you $2 for a slab, then puts it on sale for $50. Yep. Let me tell you something. Try buying any sports game the day after the next year's announced. Yeah. Your value goes woo, you know. So
I guess they're going to be using the Pawn Stars model, I guess.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's really interesting if they have on sale now.
Are you looking at it, Danny?
Yep, it's on their website.
Yeah, it's there. I saw some last night. There were a lot of Pokemon, but there were some sports cards in there as well.
Victor, it's a whole new world, buddy.
It sure is.
It really is.
So now, does like Beckett come and like counteract with like Taco Bell, or do we start having grading companies align themselves with different national retailers? Maybe a Dick's Sporting Goods and Beckett go together.
You never know. Things like that could happen. Now,
I'm only half kidding. I mean, the way Fanatics is going, the hobby is moving into regular retail.
Right.
This is true.
10X. You got to get into the mainstream.
It's true. I mean, if you can buy wax right now at Lids, you can buy wax at all sorts of Fanatics, owned or partnered, retailers.
Fanatics at Dick's actually makes sense.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Rex makes a great point. Rex interviewed him yesterday. We talked about, for the big chains, how hard it is to actually train your employees in the art of cards. When you're hiring hourly employees at a store, it's going to be very interesting to see how much they can take it out of the hands of the employees completely and make it successful. Because that's kind of what they've done with the video games.
Right.
Because I think Rex is correct here. You cannot trust a store full of employees to negotiate on your behalf.
No.
Scary when you think about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, are you kidding? Those, that wouldn't work out well. Put slabs in cereal boxes to get kids to eat breakfast.
Hey, I'd do that.
I've been screaming that for years now. That's how I came into the hobby.
No, a full graded slab.
Oh no! I mean, I'm talking about breakfast cereal. Put cards in there.
Absolutely,
you want to 10X the hobby. That's a good route.
Hey man, Post cereal, still good sets. Trade your Wander slabs for a cheesy Gordita Crunch. See, if you move it to Taco Bell, you know, you got all sorts of different partnership options.
So I got a question. So do we see these younger collectors going to shows trying to find some of these slabs that are very low priced, since this is the junk slab era that we're living in right now, and then flipping those and going over to GameStop and then getting, making money and, getting credit, or, getting a video game they want.
That's an excellent point, and they probably will. Absolutely.
I think you'll see that happen.
Yeah. I mean, and to Rex's point, nationally, can you train thousands of associates to spot fake slabs? I guess the PSA barcode's really going to get tested, because my understanding is that that's going to be the whole kit and caboodle. Can one of you guys educate me on when the back of the slab started getting a barcode? I do not know the history of the PSA flip nearly as well, but I know that it was added at some point as another security measure, and then upgraded again, I thought, towards the lighthouse.
Second generation slab, I believe.
I think it may be, because the first generation, they just had like a hologram that said
PSA authenticity.
Yeah, Collector's Universe PSA on the back. It was pretty generic. I'm glad they have the barcode and the QR code. Those are both nice to have on there. Because I scan mine all the time. When I get one in, I take my iPad and I scan it right in.
And I assume that's what they're going to have to do at GameStop, because to Rex's point, there's no way you can train all these employees or stop theft and fakes and everything else.
One of the things, Danny, is that it does have to have the Lighthouse label type slab. So that's another thing they're going to have to train these people on, is to see, to know, okay, this is where you start. Anything other than this, we're not going to accept.
Really? That's interesting. They're not taking the older stuff.
No, it's the Lighthouse.
This is probably to our point of the barcoding. It's probably got to be.
Did not know that.
No, that's a good point, Logan. Rex says, in reality, PSA slab cards make up a small percentage of all cards sold. There are no official numbers, but raw cards probably outsell graded cards 20-1 or more. I don't doubt that at all.
No, I would agree with that for sure. It's probably more.
Yeah, I just think the logistics of a card store is different than that of a GameStop. GameStop, I wouldn't trust with raw cards. From a GameStop management standpoint, I wouldn't trust the employees.
Unless, they might give that to their managers, the responsibility of funneling that, I would think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go to your LCS, folks.
There you go.
Exactly. Go to your LCS. But maybe GameStop is going to have a certain day or time when you can bring these in, because I know that one of my LCSs here, they have a trade day on Wednesdays, so that they don't really buy or sell anything from individuals except on Wednesdays. So if you've got something, come in and we'll deal with you. I wonder if that's what GameStop's going to do. It would make sense, because that way you've got somebody at the store,
right,
that can deal with it.
Right.
Well, I think that gets back to whether or not they can automate they feel like they can automate it like they do with the video games. If they can get that process down. But then it's, the slab's got to stay in good condition. I'm with Rex. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yep.
Long term. Any other thoughts on GameStop before we move on, guys?
Well, the only thing I was going to say is GameStop positioning themselves for being bought by fanatics.
Well, Victor, I thought, mentioned something similar, that they might be positioning themselves for a looky-loo from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they're doing.
Throwing that bait out there.
Yeah. And Rex says, getting back to your comment before, Logan, that's similar to how we do it. I'm the primary buyer of single cards at both our shops.
There you go.
Yeah, and I've heard that from other stores as well.
Well, it only makes sense.
What's up, Orlando? GameStop is desperate. Not wrong. Doesn't change the conclusions I think any of us are drawing either. The whole video game world is going away from cartridges.
Yes.
That's going to be a tough retail model.
Yeah, they definitely need to diversify, and that this is one attempt to do so.
And Bo, Bo talking to Rex's point, maybe it's not 20-1, maybe it's 14,338 to 0.
Love it.
Bo, I love statistics. I'd love to know how many graded ones you've listed.
I've got multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good to see you, Bo. Congratulations again on your project. Everyone have a good day. Thank you, Necrofan35.
Man.
Go into a local card show. Yep, listed 0. Slabbed. Well, Bo, I'm assuming now you're just going to go to GameStop for all your slab sales. So. It seems like all the cool kids are doing it,
Yeah, I wonder how many of these Goodwill pallets have just graded cards in them. A big pallet of graded Goodwill cards.
That would be awesome.
Logan's already onto this arbitrage opportunity here. He's going through. He's going through. The card hobbyist. Giving a shout out to Bo there. Okay, so those were 2 of the stories I wanted to get started with because PSA slabs and PSA slabs and PSA slabs. Guess what?
PSA slabs.
PSA slabs. True game worn cards. I got it right that time. Corbin Carroll, Bobby Witt Jr. They like to run around with cardboard in their pants. Logan, you were giving me some information on this, or how many cards they had?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I wonder if they had cardboard in their pants, if they were happy to see everybody. But anyway, yeah, it was Bobby Witt and Corbin Carroll. PSA actually went out and gave them the card. So this was initiated by PSA. They went to the players at the games. This was opening day, from what I understand. Bobby Witt had 7 cards, and Corbin Carroll had 6 with him. So PSA took all those cards once they were done. Of course, they didn't grade very well. I mean, you have to expect that. You had like PSA 1s, 2s, 3s. But they took 1 card from each player, and they gave the rest back to the players to give to whoever they want. But the players, they numbered the cards like if like since Bobby Witt had 7 cards, he would label his 1 of 7, 2 of 7, 3 of 7, so on and so forth, right? PSA took cards number 2 from each one, 2 of 7 and 2 of 6 from each one, and they're going to actually give those away to anybody that submits a value plus submission or higher. So the value plus is a 20-day submission, a turnaround, and I think it's like $39.99 per card. So if you do that, you're automatically entered into this drawing to win one of these 2 cards. So I think it's really cool what they've done. I know Victor, we talked about it and we said, it's kind of gimmicky, but I like it,
Yeah, that was kind of the kickback they got on their marketing for this. It seemed to trigger a lot of people as far as being over the top on gimmicky. I do like the concept. It's, to me, when we look at vintage cards or cards from the 80s, what do we as collectors do to kind of spice it up a little bit? Well, I like to go to the Chicago Sports Spectacular with my 1989 Gary Sheffield, right? And have him sign it with a inscription. And it just takes a good card of a good player, but kind of notches it up a little bit. And so I love the concept of rookie cards being inscribed and signed and all of that. This is really a cool concept. And it shows fanatics, in my opinion, that, hey, you're not the only one that can sign athletes. We too can sign athletes. We too can come up and be creative. So it creates this creativity and this competition, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's what the hobby has been crying for decades now, is the competitiveness, the creativity. And here is, we have it. And a lot of us are shooting it down. And I think we need to take a step back and look at the big picture and that concept. And it's also, it's not some kind of gimmick that they're trying to scam people out of thousands of dollars like we do with some of the Tops Now stuff. No, This is a giveaway.
Hey, that raccoon was on my PC want list.
Right, but it's a giveaway, folks. It's done for marketing, for the business. And if we had social media back in the 90s and all of that, I'm sure we would have been seeing all of this stuff advertised to us on social media, but we didn't have that back then. And today, that is the median for getting the word out there. It's through social media, and it's a giveaway. It's harmless, and it's a genius concept, in my opinion.
Rex says, fundamentally, I'm not a fan of damaging cards for any purpose. It's funny. I've gone back and forth on this concept of whether or not they should have protected the card somehow or put them in a top loader or something. You know what? I'm not sure I would have believed it or it would have had the same authenticity feel if they weren't beat up pretty good.
Right.
I expect a Major League Baseball player to move around a lot more than I do. So, when they're out there playing a game, if they got a card, I mean, I wouldn't put a raw card in my pants, and expect it to come out a 10. So, I that doesn't bother me as much for these cards. Fundamentally, I don't like damaging cards.
Right.
But these cards, it adds to the provenance.
It sure does. It gives a whole new meaning to a PSA 1.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the question is, are we going to see more of this with other players? Are we going to see more of this with other sports? I can see NASCAR drivers tucking some down in their fire suit. Then they got to go pee. What are you going to get there? Oh, boy.
The card hobbyist says, I poke fun at it, but I like the idea. I can see it applied to football with cards in the helmet or shoulder pads.
Sure.
Yeah, somewhere out of the way. But those are not going to stay at 10.
And I forget where I heard this from, but imagine if they did that to somebody for the Super Bowl or Game 7 of the World Series.
Oh, yeah.
And we were able to have some of that stuff, that kind of creativity in packs. That would be amazing. The only thing is, I think they got to, I don't know on the legalities of them actually, PSA actually selling stuff like this. I think it's that might be a legal problem. I don't know, but it wouldn't be a problem if a collector did that. So I don't know why it would be an issue if PSA did this and sold them. Right? I don't know the legalities of that, but yeah, imagine that in a big game. That would be a pretty cool card.
I mean, I think in general the hobby's moving towards connecting to on the field.
Right.
Whether it's game worn, game used, autographs, we're finding more of a connection with the actual players. The card shows, the Fanatics Fest are all more experiential. And a lot of the giveaways now are, players following you back, getting involvements and stuff with players. So to me, this is just kind of an extension of some of that, that we're just finding another way to connect in the hobby with the players directly. But to me, this is also version 1. I mean, just
exactly
to Victor's point of all the tentacles and all the different ways they could go with this. To me, this feels like a good way to try it out. They didn't really announce it in advance. They I think saw if there was any backlash or if the leagues had any kinks to work out or anything like that. And I think it's interesting. Obviously, the chat room doesn't completely agree with anything I say, but specifically on this one, I'm ducking and dodging trying to get comments that I can put up here. Sorry, Logan, go ahead.
I said I'm on record for liking this. I like it, and I don't submit at the value plus range, but I will probably submit one card at value plus just so I'm entered, because if you don't enter, you can't win. So who knows? I mean, all it takes is one, so maybe I could win. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, it would be so cool. It really would be. And we were saying before, it's the first game worn cards in history, slabs or that we know of.
Right.
I'm sure there's a story somewhere, and if somebody knows it, I always like to learn. Put it in the chat room. But this is the first time I've ever heard of a card actually going onto a field purposely with a player.
The concept is genius. Yeah, I love it.
I mean, the closest thing I can remember is when David Wells bought Babe Ruth's hat and wore it. and then they made him take it off, and but that was different.
They find him.
Chad, I don't want to right turn this whole show, but the short answer is no.
Chicago is the spot, man.
Chicago is the bomb, no doubt, man.
Yeah, so
I'll be glad for the next 3 years.
I hope we can ruin your morning there. Maybe he just bought his VIP ticket. It's his first national. Chad, it'll be wonderful no matter what.
Yep.
It'll be wonderful, whatever what. Yeah, thank you, Michael. All right, so definitely wanted to just talk about that a little bit because I think it's a cool concept, and I forget which one of you just said the competition for creativity. I love that idea.
Mm-hmm.
That with the card designs and the marketing, it's got to be. I think the biggest thing in the next 12 to 24 months for Fanatics, for Panini, for Leaf. I mean, it's not just signing athletes. Eventually, everybody's going to sign. More or less, everybody's going to have a contract, and you're going to be judged on the cards.
Yep.
And so that's something to be said. The break said, imagine said player scores a touchdown and pulls the card out in the end zone and signs it.
Nice.
Nice. That's pretty cool. That's the Chad Ochocinco version.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen the cards that PSA is giving away? They're not only are they autographed, but they're also inscribed. With either statistics or something.
Yeah.
So it's more than just an autograph. So it's even more personalized than just like getting a card autographed. And they're both PSA 3s that they're giving away. So wow, PSA 3s.
Well, which means they don't qualify for GameStop.
That's right. Yes. Now, I'm wondering how, because this ends, I think June 30th is the last day, for, I guess, submitting or whatever with the Value Plus. I wonder how they're going to announce this. Are they just going to just blindly put it in your submission, or are they going to, what are they going to do? Can
you imagine checking your submission and getting that back in return?
That would be awesome. You just there it is in front of you.
Well, I hope they put a note saying you're supposed to have it.
I'm sure.
Otherwise, I'd be trying to get a number. I got a Bobby Witt card here. Did he lose one?
Yeah, somebody who doesn't know anything about it. Go, what is this?
Right, exactly. Here we go. Thousands of autographs of every player, so they are unique, especially for player collectors. That's an interesting concept. It's a type of autograph collectors have never been able to get before. Is on a player worn card. That's
true. They've held it in their hands. They've used it. They played with it literally, and then they've autographed it and then they give it away.
Rex says the main reason he thinks it's hokey is that the cards are not designed to be worn. Has jersey, socks, etc. That makes sense to me. These do not. Understand your point. To me, this goes along with photographs and other things. They don't necessarily have to be worn to be part of the moment. A type 1 photograph can be part of a moment. And I think these cards are part of a moment. I wouldn't be surprised if they start getting attached to specific games and moments more on the slab themselves. And just getting back to this point from before, Logan, your understanding was GameStop was paying their typical pennies on the dollar, right?
I just don't see GameStop paying a lot of money for these cards. I just don't see that. But like I said, it's more geared. I think it's more geared towards the younger collector, the ones who, who are playing video games or in that, who are in that. So I just don't see them paying a lot of money for these slabs, especially a PSA 8 or 9, maybe a 10, who knows?
Well, let me ask you guys a question. Companies have done hair samples before, like a strand of hair, I don't know how to ask this without it sounding weird. Is one cooler, weirder? People are making funny comments, but that's something that we've kind of accepted is that we'll take, you know, especially a deceased person's strand of hair, put into a card. And
I think it's
slide that
kind of
puppy up.
I think it's kind of awkward personally. That's just my personal conviction
For
on it.
human beings, yes.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: since today is the Preakness, I do have a card with a hair from Secretariat.
See,
I do have that.
and
Now,
I find that cool for some reason.
now that's kind of cool because it's not from a human being. You know, I'm with Victor. Having human hair, that's just a little creepy to me. You know, it's like it's like here in Memphis. The lady who used to cut Elvis's hair, she kept all that hair. She has it. Yeah.
Ooh.
So
See, if I know my barber's keeping, I want to put it back in.
Kind of creepy.
All right, and then there was one other topic I wanted to try to touch on here, and I was very, very interested also in the chat room. And this goes back a little while when it was first rumored and announced. eBay buys Golden in trade for the eBay vault or something like that. Sorry, we just set off the chat room for a second. Let me catch up here.
we did, yeah. Everybody's talking about the hair now.
Yep. I should have known it when I went there.
Good job, Danny.
Hair and other human relics have been collected for ages. None of that stuff interests me personally.
I'm with Rex. Yep.
That would be a good live stream. Go to GameStop and do a test run on slab selling. I think you're going to see that coming out in the next week or so with some people who live near those stores. If you follow different people on YouTube. You need medical grade plastic for slab hair for sure. Yep. Absolutely. Fingernail cards coming soon.
See, where do we draw the line? See,
yeah, there you go, Dan.
Alan Ginger has done hair relics. George Washington, I think. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, they have.
Yep. I have unintentional dog hair everywhere.
Same facts.
Yeah. A strand of hair would help my cloning side project. And Logan, your background is getting a shout out from that 70s show. What's up, John? Nice yellow bowling shirt.
That's believe it or not, that's from when Dale Earnhardt Sr. drove the Wrangler car back in the early 80s. This is one of the crew uniforms or crew shirts from that team.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, the hair is a no-go for me. You know, maybe the Secretariat. But wow. I got caught off guard. I should have known better. Love the chat room. You guys are fantastic.
Yep.
Okay. So eBay buys Golden and traded for its vault. I want to summarize a couple things here, and the reason that I want to talk about it is if somebody now wants to grade a card with eBay, grade a card with PSA and sell it through eBay, they can do it. One flat rate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's light years from where we came from. Guys, think about when we started collecting cards. Pre-grading, pre-internet, and now you're getting them graded internet and you're not even touching the card if you don't want to. You can send it in. What do you guys feel about the hands-off for transactions? Do you like the simplicity, or do you miss having it to go through your hands at some point?
I think the simplicity is great for people who want that. I'm a touchy-feely guy. You know, if I buy a card, I want it in my hand. So for me, it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of people that are wanting to flip and do things like that. This is great. It's going to be great for them.
U.S. Sports Cards won some Hobby Hotline National Relic cards this summer.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Great for flippers.
Yep, that's what I think. Great for flippers.
Yep. Is just the way money is transferred anyway. Who uses cash anymore?
I don't.
It's funny. You go someplace that requires cash, and it's interesting. You get caught off guard. All right. Well, I think the idea was we can play guess where the hair came from. So you guys, I got 3 children at home, and it's nothing like this.
Yeah, this eBay to golden trade, it doesn't do nothing for me because I don't play in that realm per se. But I can see this being, beneficial for those who play in that arena. Somewhere between the $5, $10, $15,000 cards, that kind of thing.
What if it's backwards? Would you buy a raw card on eBay and have it automatically sent to PSA and then sent to you to get graded on the way?
It depends on the price.
No, I usually need it sent to me because I need to see it.
That's what I'm asking.
The pictures and the scans aren't enough. I need to put it under my own light.
So for you, there's no savings because it's going through your hands one way or another.
Correct.
Yep. It's interesting.
Now, the new concept of PSA giving you the option to shoot it straight to eBay. I like that concept. I even considered it with this last submission that I got headed back. My only thing is they only give you the 7-day auction. I'm not a fan of doing the 7-day auction. If they would allow me to set it up as a buy it now, I would have sent most of my submission directly to eBay. But they
are forcing you into a 7-day auction.
A 7-day auction, right? And sometimes you can get slaughtered in them 7-day auctions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Abel agrees with you, Victor. No to buy raw, need to see the card.
Yeah.
And that's what I was wondering. We're going to do some auctions that way for sure.
I mean, if it's a new, like a new release, you might, but I still need to see it.
Yeah, no, I definitely
on a product that came out 2 days ago. You're probably a scan or a picture on both sides can probably suffice, but nah.
Yeah, I do see the value in it for some people. If I were buying a lot of cards, a single lot of cards, and they're all the same card, and I know I'm sending them all in anyway, I don't, I'll just send them in. If it's a vintage card that I'm doing for one of my sets, and I don't care what the grade is, I just want it graded, I feel a little bit more comfortable there. If it's a card I'm picking and choosing whether or not I want to send in, yeah, I'm the only one. I've got to touch that card.
But there might be something to it, right? Because it's the thing about a lot of this stuff is being first to market. So if I pull a pack of, let's just say the latest Wemby Panini Select, and I pull a pretty rare parallel, and I want to get that off to PSA as soon as possible. And I want to get it on the market as soon as possible. And that it might be a good source in that kind of concept.
And that's actually one of the scenarios where somebody hitting the lottery card.
Right.
But for some people, the lottery card is a $500 card. So for some people, Victor, your point is going to be 100% accurate, but for them, it's just at a different scale on the financial.
Right.
So you may have people for a $500 card that want it graded as quick as possible and for sale as quick as possible, and they want to cash in their $500 because they just bought a $25 blaster box.
Right.
So I think your thought process is dead on there.
Yeah.
And Rex piggybacks onto that. Speed to market is one benefit of modern cards. Reduced shipping and handling time is beneficial for all buyers.
Yeah,
that's another good one. Also,
is reduced.
Anybody who's ever bought or sold online, the shipping time, I don't care what you say, is annoying. None of us like it. None of us like doing it. None of us like sending them out. What a transaction through this vault protects you from bogus returns when a player value crashes. Well, there's no returns once the deal's done. Yeah, at that point, I think since you never touched the card and you bought it as described and it has to go through authentication, I think that would be a done deal. Buy it now will be an option. PSA said a few months away. Well, there we go.
Then
Good,
then
that's
I'm
good.
at that point I'll be straight to eBay Vault.
Chad asked a great question here. Do you guys buy raw cards on eBay? Do you guys buy large lot of raw cards? Would you if it had a money back guarantee? I do buy some raw, and I would definitely buy more with a money back guarantee to some degree. But to me, it's about the card. It's not, I usually know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm not usually buying real high end stuff for my PCs. I collect 2 sport athletes. Brian Jordan is not a real expensive card. Not a lot of fakes out there.
Yeah, I buy a lot of raw just because of the vertical that I'm in. I'm a NASCAR guy, so there's not. I mean, there are a lot of NASCAR graded cards out there, but the ones I want are not graded, so I have to go ahead and get mine graded. So I do buy a lot of raw.
I do too. I buy a lot of raw, and I usually like to create lots with a dealer at a card show. It's where I buy the most of my raw cards is at card shows, and I'll put together a little package deal and try to negotiate it that way. And then from there, I can decide what I want to do with the card, whether PC it, whether list it on eBay, or if it's good enough or worthy enough, send it to get graded.
What percent do you think you get graded, Victor? 10%?
I would say probably somewhere in there. Yeah, not much because some of it is low end. It's not worth it, but some of it, once you get it under a light in a dark room and you start seeing flaws pretty quick.
Yeah, I always say the people who buy the best also sell the best usually because you're looking for the same things both directions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Any other thoughts on this?
Well,
Logan, you ready to become a Golden Auction Hall of Famer, or are they now the enemy now, or how does that work?
I don't think they have a Hall of Famer for auctions yet.
It's a one-man hall. He made it himself.
He did.
All right. Well, I always got to ask, what are you guys doing hobby-wise this weekend? Logan, I know you already showed us one of your cards. Any new pickups? Any hobby activity?
Well, I've had a few pickups. I mean, you guys know me. I like to do my sophomoric slabs on eBay, so I've kind of gotten into this deal where I'm looking for players with unibrows, like Rick Hampton here. Yeah, and I got another one, and I remember this guy, and I'll probably butcher his last name. Is Tom Phobos, I believe is how you pronounce his last name.
Wow.
Phoebus, Tom Phoebus.
You got to get
that card as a kid, and I was thinking like caveman or something at that point. But yeah, I've kind of gotten into the unibrow thing.
Logan, you got to get Anthony Davis, center for the Lakers, his rookie cards in 2012, I believe, but he has the biggest unibrow on the face of the planet. Historically, you got to check him out.
How far are we from a unibrow card? You could get a unibrow card one day.
I'm thinking about creating a unibrow showcase on PSA.
That's hilarious. Victor, you getting into any hobby trouble this weekend?
I'm pretty busy at home this weekend. I have been working tirelessly on a video for the Ultimate Rookie Card Guideline for Anthony Edwards. I've had a lot of demand for that video. I'm putting it together, and I wanted it to have it done this weekend, and it's not going to get done this weekend. It's going to take me another week to get that video up. So I'll be working on that video, but also I'm going to make a short video just for tomorrow, just to keep consistency with my channel. So I'll be content creating. There you go.
All right. And Logan, we're going to find you camped outside of GameStops all over.
I'm there, man. It's right next to a sub shop, so man, it's perfect for me.
He's got a map on his wall with all the games.
I gotta say somewhere I want to say hashtag America. It's right next to a sub shop, so I'm good.
How about you, Danny? What are you doing hobby-wise?
That's a great question. I'm actually organizing. I am behind in organizing my 57 commons. I know this is very exciting, but I have my 57 binder.
Okay.
I actually keep my 57 set in.
All right.
I've got a pile of commons and various other stuff to get caught up on. And speaking of today's conversation, working on a PSA submission.
There you go.
So that's my hobby goals. We'll see if they get done.
There you go.
Like you said, Victor, I'm also at home and I answer to higher authorities all throughout this house. So I have 3 children and I get the 5th vote in the house. It's unbelievable.
There you go.
All right, guys. Well, I'd like to say to the chat room, thank you. Logan, Victor, you guys make my day very easy. I appreciate you as always. This was episode 301. Every Saturday on Bench Clear Media, you will catch us at 11 a.m. Eastern with rotating guests, typically rotating, sometimes rotating early, sometimes rotating last minute, but they are always rotating. We will have some new hosts coming back in June. Look forward to seeing John, Adam from Splendid Sports. Brody's coming back. So see some fresh faces back, and I think that'll be good for all of us.
Agreed.
Agreed?
Agreed.
All right. On that note, we'll take a thanks, a mahalo, and catch you next week, guys. See you later. And there's the perfect outro.